What if I told you that placing a small amount of natural powder under your tongue just once about 20 minutes before intimacy could support blood flow so effectively that men over 50 are calling it a quiet revolution? Not a pill, not a prescription, not something that takes weeks to notice. Music, a naturally occurring amino acid that your own body already knows how to use. Music, stick with me until the end of this video because what I'm about to walk you through isn't just interesting. Music, for some men, it could genuinely be life-changing. I'm Dr. William Lee, and welcome back to Urology, Education, and Vitality, Music, the channel dedicated to giving you real, science-backed information about men's health in a way that actually makes sense. No complicated medical textbooks, no confusing terminology, just honest, practical knowledge from a urologist who genuinely wants to see you thriving in every part of your life. Before we go any further, I want to ask Music you to do one thing right now. If you're watching this and you care about your health, Music, your vitality, and your confidence as you get older, hit that like button, subscribe Music to this channel, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a video like this one. And I'd love to know where in the world you're watching from. Drop your music, city, or country in the comments right now. It genuinely makes my day to see how far this community reaches. Now let's get into it. Here's something nobody tells men in their 50s, honestly enough. The changes you've been noticing, the slower response during intimate moments, the reduced music firmness, the feeling that your body just doesn't bounce back the way it used to. Those changes are not signs of weakness. They are not signs that your best days are behind you. They, Music, are signs of a very specific, very well understood biological process that happens inside every man's vascular system as he ages. And here's the most important thing I want you to hold on to from the very beginning of this video. Music, that process can be supported. That pathway can be reactivated. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how one natural compound, Music, may help do precisely that. But first, let me paint you a picture. Imagine a man, let's call him Robert. Robert is 56 Music years old. He's healthy. He eats reasonably well. He's not overweight. He exercises a few times a week. By most measures, Robert is doing Music everything right. But in the past 3 or 4 years, something has shifted. Music, when he and his partner create an intimate moment together, he notices that his body doesn't respond with the speed or intensity it once did. He still feels desire. His mind, Music, is fully present, but there's a disconnect. Like the signal is being sent, but something downstream isn't receiving it clearly anymore. Robert doesn't talk about it with his doctor because, honestly, it's an uncomfortable conversation. He assumes it's just aging. Music, he assumes it's inevitable. He searches online, finds a confusing mix of advertisements, supplements, and conflicting advice, and eventually just accepts it as the new normal. Robert is not alone. In my years as a urologist, I have had this exact conversation with hundreds of men, and here's what I tell every single one of them. Clears throat. This is not inevitable. This is physiology. And physiology can be understood, supported, and in many cases, meaningfully improved. Let's start by understanding what's actually happening inside the body, Music, because once you understand the mechanism, everything else will make complete sense. Your capacity for intimate performance with Music, the firmness, the speed of response, the staying power is almost entirely dependent on one thing, blood flow. Not testosterone alone, not desire alone, blood Music flow. Specifically, the ability of your blood vessels to rapidly relax, widen, Music, and allow large volumes of blood to rush into the penile tissue. This process is called vasodilation, and it is the core physiological event behind Music every erection. Now, vasodilation doesn't happen automatically. It requires a trigger. Music, that trigger is a molecule called nitric oxide. Music, think of nitric oxide as the chemical messenger that tells your blood vessels, relax, open up, let the blood through. Music, when your body produces nitric oxide efficiently and in sufficient quantities, the vascular response, Music, is strong, fast, and satisfying. When nitric oxide production is low or sluggish, the response, Music, is weaker, slower, or incomplete, even when the desire and the intention are fully present. Here is where age enters the equation in a very direct way. Beginning in your mid-40s and accelerating through your 50s, Music, your body's ability to produce nitric oxide naturally declines. This isn't random. There are specific reasons for it. Music, the endothelium, that's the thin inner lining of your blood vessels, becomes less responsive over time. Music, oxidative stress accumulates. The enzymes responsible for catalyzing nitric oxide production, particularly an enzyme called endothelial, Music, nitric oxide synthase, or eNOS, become less efficient. Music, and the result is exactly what Robert experienced. Desire is present, but Music, the vascular response, is Lagging. This is why I always say to my patients, if you're experiencing changes in intimate performance after 50, your first question should not be what's wrong with me emotionally. Your music first question should be what is happening with my nitric oxide pathway. Music, because in a significant number of cases, that is where the answer lives. Now, stay with me here because this is where it gets genuinely exciting. If declining nitric oxide production is the problem, then the logical question is, can we support nitric oxide production naturally? And the answer, supported by a growing body of research, is yes. And one of the most well-studied compounds for doing exactly this is an amino acid called L-citrulline. You might not have heard of L-citrulline before music, and that's completely understandable. It doesn't get the same marketing budget as testosterone boosters or the same cultural attention as prescription medications. But in the world of vascular health and nitric oxide research, it has become increasingly fascinating to researchers and clinicians alike. Let me explain why, because understanding how this compound works is actually one of the most interesting stories in men's health science. Your body produces nitric oxide primarily through a pathway that involves an amino acid called music L-Arginine. L-Arginine is what the enzyme enos uses as its raw material to manufacture music nitric oxide. So logically, you might think, why not just supplement with L-Arginine directly? If it's the building block for nitric oxide, just add more of it, right? Here's the problem. When you take L-Arginine orally as a pill or a powder that you swallow, a significant portion of it gets broken down during digestion before it ever reaches your bloodstream. This is what scientists call first-pass metabolism. Your gastrointestinal tract and your liver process the L-Arginine before it can do its intended job. And by the time it reaches your blood vessels, a large fraction of it has already been metabolized. The result is that oral L-Arginine supplementation has shown inconsistent results in clinical music research. Not because L-Arginine doesn't work, but because not enough of it survives the digestive journey to make a meaningful impact. L-citrulline works in a completely different way. When you consume L-citrulline, your body absorbs it efficiently. It travels through your system and reaches your kidneys. And here's the clever part, your kidneys then convert L-citrulline into L-Arginine directly within the bloodstream. Because this conversion happens after the digestive phase, the newly created L-Arginine doesn't get subjected to that same first-pass breakdown. It becomes bioavailable, meaning your blood vessels and the enzymes that need it can actually access and use it. Several research studies have examined this pathway, and the findings have been noteworthy. A study published in the journal Urology found that men with mild to moderate erectile difficulties who supplemented with L-citrulline experienced meaningful improvements in erection hardness and satisfaction scores compared to those who took a placebo. Another body of research has confirmed that L-citrulline supplementation can raise plasma L-Arginine levels more effectively than L-Arginine supplementation itself, which is somewhat counterintuitive, but speaks directly to the bypass of first-pass metabolism. This is real science. This is peer-reviewed research, and it supports a very logical, mechanistic argument for why L-citrulline may be a meaningful tool for men who want to support their vascular health and intimate performance naturally. Now let's talk about something that makes this even more interesting. And this is the part of the video that most people online don't explain clearly. There is a method of taking L-citrulline that some men and some health practitioners find noteworthy: sublingual administration. Sublingual means under the tongue. Instead of swallowing L-citrulline as a capsule or mixing the powder into water and drinking it, some individuals place the powder directly under their tongue and allow it to dissolve there slowly. Why would this matter? Under the tongue, there is a dense network of tiny blood vessels, capillaries, that are located very close to the surface of the mucous membrane. This area is highly permeable, meaning compounds can pass through it relatively quickly and enter the bloodstream more directly, compared to the slower digestive route. You've probably heard of nitroglycerin tablets, being placed under the tongue for fast cardiac relief. This is the exact same principle. The sublingual route allows compounds to bypass the gastrointestinal tract and the liver's first-pass processing, and instead enter the bloodstream directly through the oral mucosa. Now, I want to be transparent with you here and give you the full picture, as I always do on this channel. The body of clinical research specifically on sublingual L-citrulline is not as large as the research on oral supplementation. Most formal studies have used the swallowed form but the physiological rationale is sound. Sublingual absorption is a well-established pharmacological concept. music. And anecdotally, many men who use this method report that they notice effects music relatively quickly, typically within 15 to 30 minutes of administration. Music. This is why the framing at the beginning of this video, placing this powder under your tongue before intimacy, reflects something many men have discovered music experientially. That the sublingual route appears to offer a faster onset compared to swallowing the same compound, whether this is due to direct sublingual absorption or simply due to the fact that dissolving the powder in the oral cavity slows the transit and reduces the first pass effect. The practical outcome is that many men find this method effective for timed use, music before intimate moments, and that timing matters. L-citrulline isn't like a prescription medication that stays in your system for an extended period. It is a nutritional amino acid. When you want to support nitric oxide production specifically ahead of an intimate moment, taking it approximately 15 to 30 minutes beforehand, using the sublingual method, gives it the opportunity to enter your circulation, undergo conversion to L-Arginine in the kidneys, and begin supporting vascular relaxation and blood flow in the time frame when you need it most. I want to pause here and address something that I know is going through some of your minds right now. You might be thinking, Dr. Brooks, this sounds almost too simple. If L-citrulline is this effective, why isn't every urologist talking about it? Why isn't this mainstream advice? That's a fair and intelligent question, and the honest answer has a few layers. First, natural compounds don't get the same research investment as pharmaceutical drugs because they can't be patented. A pharmaceutical company can invest hundreds of millions of dollars developing a patentable drug because they can recoup that investment through exclusive sales. A natural amino acid that anyone can purchase cannot be patented in the same way. So the research base, while genuinely promising, is smaller than what you'd see for a patented medication. Second, medical music education, the training that doctors like me go through, focuses heavily on pharmaceutical interventions. Nutrition and supplementation are touched on briefly but rarely in depth. Many physicians are aware of L-citrulline but haven't had the opportunity to fully explore the research or integrate it into their clinical practice. This doesn't mean the science isn't real. It means medical education has a significant music gap when it comes to nutritional interventions. And third, let's be honest, this isn't a topic that comes up easily in a standard 15-minute doctor's appointment. Men don't often bring it up. Doctors pressed for time don't always initiate the conversation, and so the information doesn't flow the way it should. That's a large part of why this channel exists, because you deserve to have access to real, evidence-informed information about your health, not just what's conveniently available in a prescription pad. Let's talk about dosing, because this is something I want to address carefully and responsibly. The clinical studies that have examined L-citrulline for vascular and erectile support have generally used doses in the range of 3 to 6 μg. The study in the journal Urology that I mentioned earlier used a dose of 1.5 Gr twice daily, totaling 3 Gr per day. Other research has used higher doses. Many practitioners who work with L-citrulline suggest starting at 3 Gr and adjusting gradually based on individual response. If you are using the sublingual method for pre-intimacy support, a dose in the range of 3 Gr dissolved under the tongue approximately 15 to 30 minutes beforehand is what the practical experience of many users and clinicians points toward. Some men find that 3 Gr is sufficient. Others find they respond better to higher amounts within the studied range. The key principle is to start conservatively, pay attention to how your body responds, and adjust from there. Now, let me be very direct about something critically important. L-citrulline supports nitric oxide production and vascular relaxation. This means it has the potential to influence blood pressure. For most healthy men, this is a benefit, supporting healthy blood vessel tone and circulation. But if you are currently taking medications for high blood pressure, if you are on nitrate medications for cardiac conditions, or if you have any significant cardiovascular history, you need to speak with your physician before introducing L-citrulline into your routine. Combining compounds that affect blood pressure and vascular tone without medical supervision is not safe. This is not me being overly cautious. This is genuinely important pharmacology. Similarly, if you are experiencing significant erectile difficulties, I want to encourage you not to view L-citrulline as a replacement for a proper medical evaluation. Significant erectile dysfunction can be an early warning sign of cardiovascular disease, diabetes-related vascular changes, nerve pathway issues, or hormonal imbalances that need proper assessment. Nutritional support is a wonderful complement to good medical care. Music, it is not a substitute for it. Please do not use this or any other supplement as a reason to avoid a conversation with your doctor, music, if that conversation is warranted. I also want to take a few minutes, music, to talk about the broader context because L-citrulline does not exist in isolation. Treating it as a magic solution without addressing the lifestyle factors, music, that either amplify or undermine vascular health would be doing you a disservice. Think of your vascular system, your arteries, veins, capillaries, music, and the endothelial lining inside all of them as a network that reflects the sum total of how you've been living. Sleep music quality directly affects nitric oxide production and endothelial health. Music men who sleep fewer than 6 hours consistently show measurable decreases in vascular responsiveness. Music, if your sleep is poor, that is a vascular issue as much as it is a fatigue issue. Physical activity, particularly cardiovascular music exercise, is one of the most powerful natural stimulants of nitric oxide production known to medicine. When you exercise and your muscles demand more oxygen, your blood vessels are required to dilate repeatedly. Over time, this training effect improves endothelial function. Your blood vessels become more responsive. Your eNOS enzymes become more active. Music exercise is, in a very real physiological sense, nitric oxide training for your vascular system. Music dietary choices matter enormously as well. Foods rich in dietary nitrates, leafy green vegetables like spinach, arugula, and beetroot, music, provide the raw materials that your body can convert into nitric oxide through a different pathway called the nitrite-nitric oxide pathway. This pathway operates independently of L-Arginine and provides a complementary route to vascular music support. Antioxidant-rich foods protect the endothelium from oxidative damage. Reduced processed food and sugar intake decreases systemic inflammation, which is one of the key factors that impairs eNOS function. Alcohol deserves particular mention. Many men don't realize that even moderate regular alcohol consumption has a measurable negative effect on endothelial function and nitric oxide bioavailability. Music, I'm not saying never have a glass of wine with dinner, but if you're drinking regularly and noticing changes in intimate performance, music, the connection is not coincidental. Hydration is another factor that is consistently music underestimated. Blood viscosity, how thick or thin your blood is, affects how efficiently it flows through your vessels. Music, chronic mild dehydration is extremely common in men over 50, and it has real consequences for circulation and vascular responsiveness. Music, and then there is stress. Chronic psychological stress elevates cortisol, which suppresses nitric oxide production and creates vascular constriction. Music. Men who are under high chronic stress consistently show poorer vascular health. Metrics. Music, managing stress through whatever approach works for you, physical activity, mindfulness, social connection, meaningful purpose. Music is not optional for vascular health. It is essential. L-citrulline, music used thoughtfully and at the right time, may provide meaningful support for the nitric oxide pathway specifically. Music, but it functions best as part of a broader commitment to vascular health. When you combine targeted nutritional support with quality sleep, regular movement, smart dietary choices, and managed stress levels, you are creating an environment in which your vascular music system can actually respond the way you want it to. Let's also talk briefly about what else citrulline does beyond intimate performance, because I think this is important context. Nitric oxide is not just relevant to intimate function. It is one of the most fundamentally important signaling molecules in the entire cardiovascular system. Music, healthy nitric oxide production is associated with lower resting blood pressure, better arterial flexibility, reduced risk of atherosclerosis, music, the buildup of plaque in arterial walls, and improved oxygen delivery to muscles and organs throughout the body. Music, this means that when you support your nitric oxide pathway, you're not just supporting intimate performance. You are supporting your heart. You are supporting your brain, which depends on robust cerebral blood flow for cognitive clarity and long-term neurological health. You are supporting your muscles, your energy levels, your capacity for physical endurance. The intimate performance benefit is real and significant, music, but it is one expression of a much broader vascular health picture. Men often come to me focused on one specific symptom, and I completely understand why, because that symptom affects confidence, music relationships, and quality of life in very direct ways. But I always make sure they understand that the underlying physiology connects to everything. Supporting vascular health is not about one problem. It is about whole body vitality. Music, I want to spend a few minutes on something that I think gets lost in most conversations about men's health after 50. Music, the idea that this stage of life can actually be one of the richest, most satisfying chapters a man experiences, but only if he invests music in understanding and supporting his physiology proactively rather than reactively. The men I see in my practice who are thriving in their 50s and 60s share certain characteristics. They ask questions. Music, they don't simply accept decline as inevitable. They educate themselves, they make adjustments. Music, they are not passive passengers in their own health journey. They are active participants. You are watching this video, which tells me something about you. You music care. You are paying attention. You are the kind of person who looks for real information and takes it seriously. That orientation, curiosity, music, self-advocacy, willingness to learn and act is itself a form of health investment. Vitality in your 50s and beyond is not music an accident. It is a practice. It is built through consistent choices. Quality sleep, physical movement, smart nutrition, stress management, music, and yes, targeted supplementation where it makes physiological sense and music is appropriate for your individual health situation. L-Citrulline is one tool in that toolkit. Music, an interesting, well-supported, naturally occurring tool that targets a specific and important mechanism, but it is one part of a larger picture. Music, and that larger picture is what I want you to carry forward from this video. Let's bring this together into a clear, practical summary because I want you to leave this video with actionable knowledge, not music, just interesting facts. Your intimate performance after 50 is music in the majority of cases, primarily a vascular health story. Music, declining nitric oxide production, reduces the efficiency of blood vessel dilation and blood flow during arousal. L-citrulline is a natural amino acid that supports nitric oxide production by raising circulating L-Arginine levels in a way that bypasses the digestive breakdown music that limits oral L-Arginine supplementation. Clinical research suggests it may support erectile function in men with mild to moderate difficulties. The sublingual method, placing the powder under the tongue rather than swallowing it, may offer music a faster onset due to more direct absorption through the oral mucosa, making it potentially useful for timed pre-intimacy administration. Music-appropriate dosing based on the clinical literature is generally in the range of 3 to 6 G, with many men starting at 3 G and adjusting based on response. If you are taking blood pressure medications, nitrates music for cardiac conditions, or have significant cardiovascular history, speak with your doctor before using L-citrulline. It is not a replacement for medical evaluation when that evaluation is warranted. L-citrulline works best as part of a broader commitment to vascular health that includes quality sleep, music, regular cardiovascular exercise, a diet rich in vegetables and low-processed foods, reduced alcohol consumption, adequate hydration, and music-active stress management. And perhaps most importantly, the changes you've been noticing in intimate performance are not a verdict on who you are as a man or what your future holds. Music, they are physiological signals that deserve informed, proactive responses. Music, you have more agency here than you may have been led to believe. I'm Dr. William Lee. You're watching Music Urology, Education, and Vitality. And my closing thought for you today is this. Your body has remarkable capacity, far more than the narrative around aging tends to give it credit for. The systems that support your vitality, your strength, and your intimate music, confidence are not simply broken. They are asking for the right support. Music. And now you know a little more about what that support can look like. That knowledge is yours. Use it well. Take care of yourself. Your health is worth the effort. I'll see you in the next video. Music disclaimer, this video is intended for educational purposes only. The information presented is not a substitute music for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider before beginning any new supplement regimen and music, particularly if you have existing medical conditions or are currently prescription medications. Music individual results may vary. Nothing in this video constitutes a medical recommendation for any specific individual.